So I've collected a little bit of every kind of metal that I could find in my house, and today we're going to see which scratches are permanent on the back of the regular iPhone 17, and which scratches can be wiped away. Purely for science, of course, and your peace of mind, because knowledge is power. I have a scrap of bare aluminum, similar to the frame of the iPhone 17. I also have a tube of titanium hanging around, as people often do. My grandpa Jerry gave me this silver dollar, so we'll see how some precious metals react to the back. This thing is about 90% pure silver, as well as 2 tiny gold 1/10 of an ounce gold eagle coins. Same thing with these coins, they're an alloy with about 91% gold, so it's not technically pure, but we can still see what happens anyway. Starting of course with the screen. We'll see if the same magical ceramic shield 2 behaves as it did on the Air and the iPhone 17 Pro. Third time's the charm, and if this regular 17 also resists the normal scratches at a level 6 with deeper grooves at a level 7, then Corning needs to win some kind of Nobel Prize or something. I've been scratching phones for a decade, and I've never seen anything like it. I mean, look for yourself. There is a slight smear at a level 6, and maybe a smudge at level 7, but there's no abrasions on the glass, and Corning has done something really special here. Laws of physics have apparently been broken. The glass itself will still break when you drop it, obviously, since glass is glass, but it is indeed, like Apple said, far more resilient to scratching this year. The front-facing camera and dynamic island is also tucked under the same slab of glass. It's their center stage square sensor, and hopefully we can get a better look at that during the teardown. The earpiece slit is razor thin and contains the upper stereo speaker. We still have the camera control button here on the side, and if this phone does snap in half during the bin test, it'll probably be right here where the material was removed for this button that nobody uses. The iPhone 17 does not have removable buttons like the recent Google and Samsung phones do, and we do see plastic antenna lines along the edge of the frame, where signal is allowed to escape outside the phone. Without these antenna lines, the iPhone 17 would essentially become a Faraday cage, trapping all the signals inside. The left side of the phone has 3 more non-removable buttons and a whole lot more anodized aluminum. There's 1 more antenna line down at the bottom, along with our USB-C port that can charge up to 50% in about 20 minutes, along with the lower stereo loudspeaker, which the new iPhone Air does not have. We also have some IP68 waterproofing metal mesh over the speaker and microphone openings. And you might be like, hey Jerry, the orange iPhone 17 Pro does not have as much glass on the back. So how does it allow its signals and Bluetooth and Wi-Fi to escape from the metal housing? And I'm glad you asked. Snuggled right up to the vertical sides of the camera plateau is a large long antenna line that circles the whole camera visor, letting the signal flow out between the solid walls of orange aluminum. However, these Wi-Fi signals on your phones or Androids are not natively encrypted by default, meaning that third parties can see some of the information being transmitted. To scramble your data and keep it safe on unfamiliar Wi-Fis, you'll need a VPN, like today's sponsor, Surfshark. You might have thought that I was doing this durability test in the USA, but I was actually in Australia. Or at least that's what anyone looking at my internet traffic thinks. I can create a VPN and change the location of my internet browsing to any of 3,200 different servers in 100 different locations in seconds, while scrambling my data at the same time for the ultimate layer of online security. One Surfshark account protects an unlimited amount of your devices, like your family's phones, computers, or tablets. It also comes with a built-in antivirus, which obviously keeps the rest of your data safe once it's inside those antenna lines. Surfshark also allows me to set up a whole new alternate identity to protect my real name and email from scammers, spammers, or strangers. And all the servers are 100% RAM only, meaning they don't keep any logs. You don't gotta take my word for it though. Try it yourself risk-free for $2 a month with a 30-day money-back guarantee at the link in the description. Protection is always a good thing. Making our way to the back of the iPhone 17, Apple has again etched the back glass with a soft touch but microscopically rough texture. It's everywhere except for on the camera bump and the Apple logo, which is still super smooth glass. There's some very minor texture bleed around the logo itself. The etch is encroaching a bit on the Apple logo along the southern border, but overall it's a super clean placement. The stainless steel razor blade on my jerry-rig knife ranks at about a 5 on most scale of hardness, and since the glass on the back of the iPhone is also a 5 or 6, the glass is able to sand away bits of my razor blade, leaving behind trace specks of material embedded in the glass. This is more of a material transfer than a scratch. I still have the buy a big jerry rig knife, get a little jerry rig knife free sale going on till the end of the month. The discount is automatic when you add both to your cart at the same time. But let's not get distracted. Grabbing my piece of aluminum scrap, you can see the super soft level 3 aluminum is also leaving some dramatic marks on the back glass. And these do not rub away. Obviously, not everyone is toting around scraps of aluminum in their pockets though, so let's jump to something a little more common, like a coin. Nowadays, these are made from a blend of copper and nickel, and you can see marks appearing on the glass, but these are temporary, as you'll see in a second. The brass house key also transfers material to the back glass, but both of the dust streaks from these common items wipe completely away. Switching over to our titanium rod, this guy ranks at a most 6, which means that this might be beyond just a material transfer, and we might actually be damaging the glass. I say we because if you've watched this far, you're now an accomplice. But to be fair, titanium isn't something we normally find in real life, especially now that Apple has shifted its phone production lines back to aluminum. Finally, we have my 4-aught high voltage copper wire. I bought about 20 feet of this stuff back when I was working on my electric Humvee project, before I realized there was a difference between peak amperage and continuous amperage. And I really only needed 2-aught. It was an expensive mistake, but at least now we get to see what happens when 99% copper comes in contact with the textured back glass. Kinda turns into a powder, almost like a makeup brush for a clinker. If I pull a solid wire from some Romex, it still leaves some trace dust on the surface, but thankfully, with a little moisture, the copper rouge wipes completely away, leaving behind no residue. The 90% silver coin left behind the most apparent marks yet, almost like a silver crayon, but it wipes completely off. Thumbs up for that. The 90% pure gold coin leaves behind trace flakes of gold, and again these wipe completely away. So in reality, it's just the stainless steel, bare aluminum, and bare titanium metals that are unable to wipe off. I'll dribble some isopropyl alcohol on the glass. It's a mild solvent, but is still unable to clean up the metal markings any better than just wiping them away. So it's something to keep in mind. We do have about 100 other solid elements on the periodic table that we haven't tried yet, so there could be more undiscovered reactions, and if this video gets more than 2 million likes, I'll try plutonium. The top camera is a 48 megapixel ultra-wide, while the lower is the regular 48 megapixel sensor, which doubles as a 2x optical telephoto, both covered with Apple's version of Sapphire on a small glass plateau, next to a single-colored plastic LED flash sticking up through a hole cut in the glass. I think it's interesting that for the first time ever last year, more people bought the regular iPhone than the Pro iPhone, and I imagine that again it'll be the same this year with the 17s. More people are realizing that all phones are basically the same, and what really matters is how much it's going to hurt when it falls in your face at night while doom scrolling. Along with, of course, the hurt of the price tag. This 6.3-inch 3000 nit 120Hz OLED panel lasted about 30 seconds under the heat from my lighter before completely recovering. Finally, the bend test. It might just be my imagination, but I do sense the tiniest of flexes in the aluminum frame. Same when bent from the back. But it's immediately obvious that this less expensive, cheaper iPhone 17 passes my durability test with flying colors. The iPhone 17 is a ridiculously solid phone, and if Apple keeps up this level of durability, I'm gonna be out of a job. At least now we know what leaves permanent marks on the back glass though. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the teardown, and thanks a ton for watching. I'll see you around.